Hello, dear friends. It's been a while. As usual, life has been crazy busy for me, but I didn't want to end the year without giving you one last video, and here's hoping that I can make more next year. So the video we're going to be working on today is making these fun Christmas earrings. So we're going to be fusing these trees down here and then assembling the whole earrings with the beads and the hooks. These are great gifts to give anyone that likes to dress festively for the holidays, or they're also great sellers at like Christmas market, craft fairs, and the likes. So let's get started. In this video, I'm going to be using this silicone mold that I got on Amazon. It's for dog treats, apparently, so that's why it's got so many cavities, and it's this. I love the size of these. I'm also going to be using these high temperature nichrome wires, aventurine green transparent powder. It says transparent, but to me aventurine never actually looks transparent. A little container to mix the frit. So this is powder frit, some water and a spoon. And I have this little seafood fork. It's a shrimp fork or a seafood fork that I like to use to mix and scoop up my frit powder, my sludge. And a couple of pliers. The pliers are for the nichrome wires. So you never want to do a freeze and fuse with nichrome wire where the wire is in U shape, because what will happen is it will crack because the glass will shrink, the frozen block of frit will start to shrink, but the wire won't move, and therefore it will produce these huge cracks. So what we're going to do first is take the nichrome wires. I like to use 2 pliers for that. You can use your fingers, and just straighten it out. So I'm gonna make 8 pairs of earrings for now. So I'm going to go ahead and straighten 8 of these wires out. So now I have my 8 wires. So what I really like about this mold is that you have so many little cavities across on the top, because for this project we're really just going to be using that top row. We're going to take these wires, and I've already pierced the holes because I've done this before, but I'm going to poke through the top here and then poke through the little tree cavity. You want to leave, like, you could see that the bend was in this bit, so you want to leave like 2/3 on top and 1/3 in. And what you want to do is to make sure that, I can't really show this on the camera, but that your wire is really centered in the top of the cavity, because you don't want to see it on the front or really the back. You don't want it to poke out the back of your freeze and fuse or your glass. So I'm going to go ahead and poke my wires through 8 of these. Okay, so now my wires are all in, and the next step is going to be making my sludge. So there's really 2 ways to do freeze and fuse. You could either put the powder and then, using like a dropper, put in some water, but I prefer using that method if I'm layering colors or I have, little areas that require one color and then another area that requires another color. But if I'm just using one solid color the whole way through, I prefer pre-wetting my powder and then putting them in the cavities. I find that this creates less bubbles. So I'm just going to put some frit powder in a container. So this again is my aventurine green. And I'm going to add some water. So I put my hand over this because I don't want the powder to start going everywhere and going into the air. Okay. So you don't want this to be too wet. So this is a good consistency for it. So mix it well. And then again, I'm using this little seafood fork and the flat bit on the back, and I'm going to scoop and fill up my cavity. So first I want to make sure I get right into the top. So make sure I put my frit underneath the wire. Okay, and you want to make sure you fill up your mold to the top. So we want to ensure that in our molds we go all the way up to the edges in every single cavity. Add more powder if we need to. Try not to get it outside of the cavity, or else it'll create a little ledge on the bottom, and you're gonna have to grind that off after you've fired it, because you really don't want to manipulate the freeze and fuse piece while it's in its frozen state. And you don't want to have to clean that off at that point. So what I'm going to do now that I've filled all these up is I'm going to tap it a few times to kind of level it out and get rid of any bubbles that are going to be in there. And I'm going to take this to the freezer. So you need to freeze it for a minimum of 30 minutes. I'm going to freeze these overnight. That's fine. And I'll pop them out tomorrow and put them in the kiln. So for my leftover wet powder, I'm going to just leave it out to dry, and once it dries, I could put it back in its container. My mold is out of the freezer, and my little freeze and fuse trees are nice and solid. I have my kiln shelf, which has papyrus on it, ready to go. And we have to be quick because these thaw really, really quickly. So if you have more than one tray of freeze and fuse items, or more than one set, just take one of the trays out at a time. So we want to push on these using the metal and not pull the freeze and fuse, because you'll distort your little shape. And this also helps with keeping the metal in place, the wire, because if you're pulling on this, the wire might stay up there and you'll lose it. And then once I'm done, I'm going to take these to the kiln, and I'll show you the fusing schedule. So our cute little trees are out of the kiln with their wire, and it's nice and solid. And you'll see on the back we still have some papyrus paper stuck to them, and the texture on the back is kind of rough, and sometimes the edges get kind of rough. So I have this sanding block, a 400 grit diamond sanding block, and I'm going to put a little bit of water on it. Just going to sand the back of these by going around in circles just to smooth out the back a little bit. Okay. I'm going to do all of these and rinse them out. For the next step, we're going to be adding decoration to the front of the tree, like little Christmas tree, little balls and things like that. And I'm going to be using this kind of paint. So this is not enamel, this is just glass paint. And you can put it in the oven and it will cure, and it becomes very, very difficult to scrape it off. It's actually dishwasher safe once you use this. I don't use this if I'm like using it on a large area. I'll do it for smaller little things like this and stuff that's not being manipulated a lot. Like if I'm doing a dish, I'll enamel. But for something like this, I'll be using this kind of glass paint, and then once it dries, I'm going to put it like in my regular home oven for 30 minutes, and it will cure the glass paint onto the glass, and you won't be able to scratch it off. So I'm going to be using this mint green, this yellow, a light blue, and a red. And I'm going to be using a dotting tool to apply the small dots. And we don't you really don't need a lot. Okay, now I'm going to let these dry, and once they're dry, I'm going to put them in the oven to cure. We're finally at the home stretch, the last part of our process. Our little trees came out of the oven after curing the paint. You could see I'm scratching with my fingernail and it's not coming off. So I got these little beads here. They're little star shapes, and what I like about them is they have the hole going straight up and down like this. So I just need one for now. And we're going to take it, the bead, and find a hole and put it there. See, I like the proportions of the bead to the tree, and it has a nice little iridescent shine to it. So I'm going to take some pliers and make a 90-degree angle, but not right at the bead, a little bit higher, because we're going to make a few loops. Okay, and I'm making the angle going this way and not forwards towards me, because if you look at your earring, I'm going to use this hook and the loop is going this way. So you want your little charm to have the loop going the opposite way so that they fit into each other and that the tree faces forward. Okay, and then I'll use, so I've made my 90-degree angle. I'll use my needle nose pliers and twist and make a loop. Continue twisting, make sure my bead doesn't get in the way. So I looped it and I went behind the post, that little post that's on the bottom. I'm gonna hold it here, and I'm gonna use another set of pliers to loop around. You want to be careful. You don't want to press too hard because you might break the star bead underneath. So you want to make sure you give yourself enough space. There we go. Here we are. So we have the loop going this way, nice tight little loops here, and then we're going to take our little hook, open it up. Whenever you're opening something that has a loop, don't open it up to the front, open it sideways, because then it always closes much better and it keeps it retains its shape than if you were to open it this way. So open it that way, and then make sure that your tree's facing forward. Put it there, close up the loop, and there you have it. Our little, so this kind of twirls around, and here we go, our little Christmas tree earrings. So you can make earrings out of these, you can make pendants, you can make little charms, whatever you like. But it's a fun little project. These are good sellers at Christmas markets and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed this project. I'm going to link to the items that I've used for this project, like the beads and the molds that I use and things like that. And let me know if you need links to anything else. And wish everyone very happy holidays and hope to see you again soon. Bye.